You wear exposure suits for warmth and to provide some protection from accidental stings, scrapes and cuts. The three primary types are wetsuits, dry suits and skin suits, which are sometimes called bodysuits. You use wetsuits in water as cold as 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. They're made of foam neoprene. Water seeps into the suit and gets trapped, which is why they're called wetsuits. Afterward, your body heats the water, and the neoprene slows further heat loss significantly. A wetsuit has to fit properly, because if it's too loose, water flows in and out, taking away body heat. Too tight and it's not comfortable. So, be sure to get a professional fitting. Dry suits cover most or all of your body, and you use them in water cooler than 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit, but also for very long dives in warmer water. As the name says, the suit keeps you dry. An undergarment and an air layer, and sometimes the suit itself, insulate you. Because a dry suit is an airspace, you equalize it and adjust it for buoyancy control when you change depths. You learn to do this in the PADI Dry Suit Diver course, and your instructor will familiarize you with dry suit operation if you use one in this course. Dry suits don't fit snugly, but size, fit and options are still important. Skin suits provide some sting, cut, scrape and sunburn protection, but little or no insulation. You wear them by themselves in very warm water, or under a partial wetsuit in moderately warm water. Many divers wear skin suits to help them put on wetsuits. Exposure suits come in different styles, and you can choose from different accessories and options. Wet and dry suits insulate you so effectively that overheating can be an issue when it's hot out. Avoid this by setting up your kit before putting on your suit, and put the suit on at the last possible moment. Stay in the shade if possible. Limit activity as much as you can, especially when you have to be in the sun. Pull back a hood and unzip the jacket for as long as possible. If you do start to overheat, stop and cool off, even if it holds up the dive a few minutes. You carry a cutting tool for safety, such as to deal with entanglement, and for convenience, such as to remove litter from a dive site. You can choose from 4 basic types, though some areas regulate the types and sizes of cutting devices. Dive knives range in size and usually have a smooth and serrated cutting edge. Dive tools are similar, but they replace the pointed tip with a prying tip. Shears are especially suited to cutting line and net. And Z-knives are bladed hooks specifically for cutting fishing net or line. You usually carry a Z-knife in addition to a regular knife or tool. You mount cutting tools in different places based on what you like, as shown. Wear at least one someplace you can reach it with either hand, so it's accessible even if you have an arm a bit tangled in something. You need a dive gear bag to carry all your equipment, except weights, cylinders, and dry suits. They're designed specifically for diving so that salt water won't ruin zippers, so the material won't rot, and so they can withstand the stresses carrying it. You can choose from many styles, options, and colors, which are mainly personal preference. The main thing to pay attention to is size. Select a bag that is slightly larger than what you think you will need, because your kit tends to grow as you gain experience. As a diver, there are 3 primary instruments you use: your SPG, dive computer, and compass. These may be separate instruments, or 2 or all 3 may integrate into a single one. You're already familiar with SPGs. Dive computers track your depth, time, and give you time limits. You'll learn about these in sections 4 and 5. Your compass gives directional information so you can find your way. You'll learn about doing this a bit later as well. Besides these, there are optional instruments. Before dive computers, divers used depth gauges and watches for use with dive tables. You will need these if you use the RDP table or ERDPML instead of a computer. Dive watches are popular lifestyle accessories, the badge of a diver, if you will. Many divers who have computers also have dive watches for that reason, as well as having another way to time their dives. Thermometers help you learn how much exposure protection to use. Although you can get a separate thermometer, your SPG or dive computer may already have one. Dive instruments are robust, but shield them from impact and don't drop them. Keep them out of prolonged exposure to direct sunlight and high heat. Other than rinsing instruments, the primary special care is changing the batteries as directed by the manufacturer. See the manufacturer literature for any additional requirements.
Let's look at your options for surface signaling devices. You should have at least two: an audible device that attracts attention with noise, and a visual device that makes it easier to see you from a distance. Whistles are the most common audible devices. Attach yours here, where it's out of the way but easy to use in an emergency. Low-pressure horns use your cylinder air. They're very loud, but have a regular whistle too in case your cylinder's empty. Inflatable signal tubes fit in your pocket, yet stand a meter or 3 feet or more out of the water when deployed. They make it much easier to see you, especially in rough conditions. Delayed surface marker buoys, DSMBs, do the same job. The main difference is that you can deploy them from underwater. Signal mirrors get attention by reflecting the sun. They're useful for signaling aircraft as well as boats. Signal lights and flashers designed for diving are good options for night diving. You may use a dive float when shore diving, or when going some distance from a boat. Dive floats give you something to rest on, mark dive sites, help carry accessories, provide emergency flotation, and support dive flags. The best type depends on what uses you have in mind. Tow a dive float with line on a proper reel. Loose line poses an entanglement hazard. Tow by hand so you simply let go if a boat or something entangles the line. Dive flags alert boaters and other watercraft to your presence. The traditional dive flag indicates that divers are below and boats should stay clear. Many areas require it when diving in navigable waters. The alpha flag indicates that a vessel has divers in the water and can't maneuver. Generally, it is only required to be used by boats, but some regions use it for all diving activities and fly them from the surface floats. Some areas require both flags. Your instructor will tell you which applies where you're diving. Fly a flag so it's visible from at least 100 meters or yards. Local laws may stipulate how close you have to stay to it and how far boaters must stay away. If not, the general rule is for divers to stay within 15 meters or 50 feet and boaters to stay 30 to 60 meters or 100 to 200 feet. Don't assume every boater recognizes dive flags. If a boat sounds loud and close, stay deep enough to be safe until it passes.
You use mesh utility bags as multi-purpose containers for bulky stuff that's hard to hang on to underwater. You'll use them for tasks like underwater cleanups, or project-aware dive against debris activities, or carrying small loose items on a dive. They're also useful for carrying wet items after diving, like exposure suits. See your local dive center for choices best suited to what you have in mind. An important point: hand carry a loaded mesh utility bag while diving, so you can let go of it if it tangles or weighs you down. You use a slate or wet book for communication, writing down dive information, and so on. You can choose from different size slates. Pick one you can pocket easily. Wet books use waterproof paper and offer more room for writing. Most are about this size, and because they flex, fit comfortably in exposure suit thigh pockets. When you night dive in the Advanced Open Water Diver course, you obviously need a dive light, but many divers find one useful during the day. Larger lights are more powerful and have longer burn times, though technology advances have made even the larger lights more compact. Ask your dive professional for assistance in choosing different battery, power, and size options. After choosing a light, you'll want a clip so you can attach it to your BCD, and a wrist lanyard so you don't lose it in use. You will start your dive log as part of your training. Many divers like the time-proven PADI dive log, but there are many other sizes and styles of dive logs to choose from. Also, you can go with an online, tablet, or PC e-log. Many dive computers download to programs like these, making logging convenient. Your dive log provides an experience record you'll use for continuing your education, and it's a good place to record emergency information, dive buddy phone numbers and email addresses, equipment serial numbers, and so on. For each dive, you want to record the date, dive site, depth, duration, buddy name or names, and usually your objective, and some notes or a description of anything significant that happened. Your log also provides a resource for sharing information with others at Scuba Earth and on other online sites. Dive planning software helps you plan your air use and determine your allowable dive times. The most popular versions operate in your smartphone or tablet, though you can get personal computer programs. Some versions interface with your dive computer and also include e-log functions. Since a missing O-ring or torn strap can make you miss a dive, most divers have a spare parts kit. It's simply a collection of user-replaceable items and tools like these in a sturdy box you keep in your gear bag. In setting up your spare parts kit, start with these basics, but choose a box somewhat larger than you need. As you gain experience, you'll add to the kit, so leave some space for these, but don't overload it with things you don't actually use.